You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning, it's June the 2nd, and welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News. Good morning, Rev Sydney. How you doing?
Good morning, Al. I'm doing okay. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good, and I look forward to today because we got some sunshine and warmth after having a rainy, chilly, cold weekend. I don't know what that was all about, but I hope it's done for the year.
Yeah, same here. We had here in Nova Scotia, one of our more famous celebrations is called the Apple Blossom Celebration, when the apple blossoms rode, of course, etc., etc. And you can guarantee that when, like this year will be done, they will look forward to next year. They'll go, Apple Blossom is on blah, blah, blah next year. And I'll tell you the weather that's going to be on those dates next year. It'll be rain and it'll be crap. It'll be all that because we can't have a parade without a bunch of rain, right?
Right. Yeah, I know the local town of me, they had a big outdoor vending market and food truck festival. Dr. Buck was there with his kettle corn. And yeah, it was cool.
Rain, yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. So anything new, exciting before we get into the news?
Well, I took Thursday off to go help with some animal rescue. And really, it wasn't an animal. It was pet rescue. There was a chinchilla, a snake, oh my goodness, birds, and a lizard.
They were all loose?
No.
Oh,
Somebody had to give them up. And
okay.
Yeah. I was part of helping them get to new homes and whatnot. So there was the snake was he was almost, or she, I should say, almost a 7-foot snake.
Well, I hope they all found new happy homes and everybody is
everybody's going to be okay. Yes, the chinchilla is the last one to go, but the people who are taking it just need to, they didn't have enough room to take everything the day they came to get everything. So yeah, they'll be back for the chinchilla. And then that's it. Yay.
All righty. Good. I'm glad. I was thinking they got loose and I'm like, oh my God. All righty. Here we go with the news. First story is out.
Yes, coming to us from StratCan oh my goodness, I was going to read too much there. Cannabis clones now available at Ontario Farmgate stores.
All right. People looking to grow their own cannabis Ontario this year now have the option of buying cannabis clones directly from two of the province's cannabis Farmgate locations, Kingston Cannabis Inc., which is in Kingston, and Level Up Infusions in North York. Two of a handful of cannabis Farmgate licenses in the province are partnering with local micro cultivators to sell cannabis clones through their stores.
Jonathan Pylon, the president of Kingston Cannabis, says he believes the two stores are the first in Ontario to do so. It's been something we've been trying to do for years. We just had to have everything aligned, says Pylon, who says he sees it as a way to help bring attention to the two Farmgate stores in such a highly saturated retail market.
Yeah, Farmgates, they're a real nice opportunity to show the market what we can do, he says. And he goes on to say we can form our own individual menus and really offer much more fresh product right out our door. And you'll get, you can't get more fresh than live plants.
He expects the first sales in early June with a few dozen of the cultivar Tire Fire. He is also exploring more options down the road, especially for pre-orders, depending on consumer interest. Daniel Torres, the owner of Torcan, a microcultivator located just down the road from Kingston Cannabis, says Tire Fire is a cross of high octane and Dosido. Ooh, Dosido is a great strain from Archive Seeds. It's one of the many different genetics he has worked with for many years, bringing them in when Torcan was first licensed in 2021.
He says that we decided to launch the Tire Fire first because we figured it's suitable for outdoors in Ontario. We thought it was a strong genetic that people would enjoy for their 4 outdoor plants. He also notes that they have extremely grown and tested Tire Fire, learning how the plant grows, testing the flower, and testing the plants for diseases like hop latent viroid. Wonder how it is a powdery mildew. Now, Ontario, the first province to begin issuing retail farm gate licenses to cannabis producers, currently lists 5 such locations: Thrive Cannabis in Simcoe, Kingston Cannabis in Kingston, Level Up in Toronto, Royal Cannabis Supply Company in Toronto, and Station House Cannabis in St. Thomas.
Interesting. Only about a dozen of these provincially licensed cannabis farm gate stores operate in Canada, allowing consumers to engage more directly with the cannabis grower or processor. Even fewer stores offer consumers the opportunity to purchase clones directly. Moncton, New Brunswick is home to Canada's only cannabis farm gate nursery, Clones, with a focus on starting material for growers. Hidden Harvest, the producer behind the Clone store and brand, has also worked with retailers in New Brunswick and PEI to offer clones to consumers at retail stores and even special events.
I think this picture, this lady looks familiar.
I know her, yes.
Do you?
Yes.
Other farm gate stores in the province, like Eco Canadian Organic, has offered clones for sale at their store in Rexton. British Columbia's direct delivery program has also allowed cultivators and nurseries to sell clones directly to retailers, bypassing the provincial distribution warehouse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I
see
I
my
think,
friend at Eco there in the story.
yes. That's it. She looks familiar. I think we've seen her before. I'd like to see, like, as they said in that story, in one quick line there was about having the clones in the store and having them pre-sold, or the customer orders them. You know, why can't they do that at a regular store? Why does it have to be a farm gate store? Why couldn't a customer go into a regular store and order it, and then when it arrives, then they're contacted for the customer to come pick it up. That way, the stores don't need to have a nursery.
Well, here in Nova Scotia, we actually do. We may be stuck in the closets in the backs of liquor stores, but that's one thing we're actually a little ahead on. Ever since they were allowed to sell clones, we knew 3 weeks ahead of time when the clones were coming, and people could pre-order and pay for their clones so they could walk in and get them fresh.
Yeah.
The day. So we were able to do that here in Nova Scotia. And I don't think they did that with that kind of forethought. They just, once they knew they were coming and the sign was up, people were so excited. So the stores that were selling them said, sure, like, if you want to buy them ahead of time, it's fine with us.
Yeah, why not?
They had the SKUs, no big deal for them. They pre-program it into the computer and off they go, right?
What's the difference between that and buying something online?
Right? Or you walk in, you can do that at say a Best Buy. Oh, gee, you're out of that. Well, I'll buy it, and when it gets here, I'll come get it.
Yeah.
People do it all the time at all kinds of stores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, the people are delivering cannabis to houses. Why can't they deliver a plant?
Exactly.
Sounds good to me. All right, let's move on. Heading to the next story.
Chesia takes historic step towards cannabis policy modernization.
All right, and we just discussed the modernization right here for good old Canada as well. Now, lawmakers in the Czech Republic have reportedly approved a historic measure today that will legalize home cultivation for adult use. All right. Part of the measure also legalizes the possession of a personal amount of dried cannabis and reduces penalties for possessing larger amounts. The historic measure's approval was announced by a longtime Czech cannabis activist Lucas Hurt on LinkedIn. There it is there. I'm just hoping there's be more down here.
Wow.
Okay. The approved legalization model in Czechia involves a possession limit that is considerably greater than in any other legalized European countries. Malta became the first country to legalize cannabis for adult use in 2021, and adult households in Malta can cultivate up to 4 plants in private, and adults can possess up to 50 grams of cannabis.
Wow. In Luxembourg, where lawmakers adopted a national cannabis reform measure in 2023, adult households can cultivate up to 4 plants in private, but possess just 3 grams of cannabis. Sorry, that weird. Germany, which legalized cannabis for adult use in 2024, allows adults to cultivate up to 3 plants in private residences and possess up to 50 grams of cannabis.
Now, I think there's the two there that you can possess up to 50 grams of cannabis. I don't know if they're both or one of them. There was one that was mentioned that would be total. That's your storage. Now, as far as Czechia, let's read through his text here and see if we can find some information as far as what they implemented, because it's not in the story itself. It says here you can legalization of 3 cannabis plants per person.
Possession of up to 100 grams of dried cannabis, and significant lowering of punishments for possessing larger amounts.
Yeah, he says after more than 2 years of intense and most voluntary work, I am incredibly pleased to announce that we made it. Cannabis prohibition has just suffered the biggest blow in 70 years in Central Europe, and the Czech Republic will now become the 3rd country in Europe after Germany and Malta, where adults over 21 can legally grow, harvest, dry, possess, and store their own cannabis.
There will be time for wider things later, but today he feels he must pay tribute to a few key individuals that have helped make this possible, who are listed here. Yeah,
they're all listed there. Yeah, it goes on. Thanks to magazines. He says, yes, 100 grams is not enough. And no, not everything we fought for has passed, but still, this is a monumental and precedent-setting change. And to top it off, we have also legalized the medical use of psilocybin mushrooms.
That's amazing. So my question, like they're allowed to possess 100 grams. Is that out in public, or is that like, you can grow 3 plants. You've now produced, 2.5 pounds. Do you have to get rid of most of that, or can you keep it?
That was my question about their examples, Luxembourg and Malta, because I think in the Malta end of things, I believe it's total possession, like including what you got in storage.
Oh wow!
And 50 grams, obviously, like if you're growing outside, it's just.
Yeah, if you're a decent grower, you're gonna get way more than 50 grams off each plant.
Yeah. Yeah, those are.
I was a new grower when I was growing, and I mean, like I was, 50 grams. Well, that's those 2 branches.
Yeah, exactly. Like you grow. People have grown plants that got a couple pounds in them. That's partly genetics and scalability as well. It's all it all works together, but yeah. So hopefully, wherever that is done, it is personal possession, not storage.
Not storage, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll come across another story at some time that will have a little more on that. So explain that. Alrighty, here we go. Next story.
Coming to us from Green State, THC found in popular mainstream candies.
mainstream candies and popular sounds like something that's normally bought at a regular store.
Yeah, we're talking like, walk into your grocery store
Yeah.
and get these Haribo gummies that,
Wow.
normally you can eat handfuls of it and the only thing you're going to get is too much sugar.
Correct. Well, almost every American can relate to the experience of walking into a cool convenience store and grabbing their favorite Haribo gummy snacks. For a few in the Netherlands, that candy treat turned into a wild ride. So far, 3 bags of Happy Cola Fizz candies, similar to those found in the United States, has contained THC. The Dutch Food and Consumer Product Safety Authority issued the recall earlier this week for the fizzy cola candies. Several members of the same family fell ill after sharing a package. Dutch media reports this. The police investigated and discovered that the cola sweets contained THC. Only 3 bags have been cited as causing problems, specifically dizziness. Haribo issued a recall for the entire batch as a precaution.
Candies that could be impacted have a best before date of January 2026, with batch production number listed here. Haribo is working closely with the Dutch authorities to discover how it was contaminated and ensure no other products have been distributed with cannabis inside. Cannabis has been a cultural staple in the Netherlands for generations. Is it ever? I was just there. It was awesome. With coffee shops serving as a vacation highlight for many tourists. Hey, almost 600 cannabis cafes straddle over 100 municipalities. These spaces are tolerated by the government, but still remain illegal.
The Dutch government recently expanded an experimental program to understand how to manage cannabis supply chain from seed to sale. There are 80 coffee shops taking part as an investigatory teams figure out how to manage cannabis distribution and production compliance. Even with this new government involvement, it is still illegal to add THC to bags of traditional candies that children are likely to eat. As the case unfolds, many are watching to see how this happened to such a large corporate brand. Yeah,
I'm curious. I'll be excited to see that story when it comes out.
Yeah, well, hey, when it comes out, we'll make sure that we follow up on that for sure. So, yeah, it's you hear about that happening at Halloween. Somebody's come out and said that they accidentally got swapped or whatever, right? But a major company.
Yeah, I mean it's I'm completely baffled by it. I mean, like I could make some jokes, but it's not overly funny when a kid gets stoned that shouldn't have gotten stoned, or
Right.
somebody who has a very low tolerance or intolerance for THC gets some gummies, and now they can't move for 5 days because they're so. For them, they're so. And I've seen that. I have seen a man, and one of my best friends is 240 pounds, and it's not that he's fat. He's a big, tall, huge,
Big guy.
dude. 5 milligrams would knock that man out for 2.5 days. 5.
Yeah.
5 milligrams, and he would be done. He has zero tolerance. So it happens, and this is why we need to be careful.
Yeah, big time for sure. All righty, we got one more story before we go to break, and here we go.
Coming to us from International Cannabis Business Conference, UK poll finds majority support decriminalizing cannabis.
Good stuff. I always like to hear these things like this. The YouGov UK poll has conducted, which was conducted May the 28th, the same day that the news broke about the London Drugs Commission recommending that cannabis be decriminalized. London Mayor Sir Sadiq Khan, who established the commission in 2022, quickly endorsed the cannabis decriminalization recommendation. The YouGov UK poll asked adults in the UK, would you support or oppose decriminalizing possession of small amounts of cannabis for personal use? And these are the results.
Yeah, so here we have 23% are strongly supportive, 31 are somewhat supportive. So that brings us up to what, 54% right there.
Right.
The majority have got it. Somewhat opposed at 15%, strongly opposed at 19, and don't know, so they don't really care. Probably 13. So definitely we've got like what
34.
were opposed.
Yeah.
They're doing okay, and that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And as you can see from this poll data, a combined 54% of poll respondents expressed support for the public policy change, with only 34 directly opposed, and 13 being undecided, which is just awesome.
Yeah. When the results are filtered by region, support for cannabis decriminalization is even stronger in London, with a combined 56% of survey respondents expressing support for decriminalization and only 30% of respondents directly opposing it. As is often the case with cannabis policy modernization polls, younger respondents were more likely to support decriminalization compared to older respondents. Inclusion of cannabis as a Class B drug in the Misuse of Drugs Act is disproportionate to the harms it can pose relative to other drugs controlled by the Act. The sentencing options currently available, especially for personal possession, cannot be justified when balancing against the longer-term impacts of experience of the justice system, including stop and search, or of serving a criminal sentence can have on a person. And that was from the London Drugs Commission.
Sir Khan said current rules cannot be justified, adding that the Commission's findings had provided a compelling evidence-based case for decriminalization. And this is reported by the BBC in local coverage. A previous YouGov UK poll found that the level of support for cannabis legalization among adults in the United Kingdom is greater than the level of support for adult use legalization among lawmakers.
Yeah, because those results show that 50% of the MPs are opposed to cannabis legislation when asked in a support opposed format, compared to 39% who would be in support. So it's almost reversed, eh? Now, the large majority of the MPs do, however, believe that doctors should be allowed to prescribe cannabis for medical use, and that's at 83%, and only 7% are opposed.
The reason why I think the government is opposite is they still think that they can make more money by it being illegal than they can by it being legal.
Yeah, because everybody's changing because of the money.
Yeah,
exactly. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. On the binary question of legalizing cannabis, the British public are split, with 45% in favor and 42% opposed, making the public slightly more pro-legalization than the MPs. YouGov UK also stated adult use cannabis legalization in the UK could generate as much as 1.5 billion euro. 1.5 billion euro. That's a lot of euro.
Yeah.
And even more when you talk Canadian dollars in revenue and savings, according to a previous report by the advocacy group Transform Drug Policy Foundation.
The report, which was posted on the organization's social media account back in March, determined that over 1.2 billion pounds or euros would be generated from taxes and fees annually, and an additional 284 million would be saved annually by the nation's criminal justice system no longer enforcing cannabis prohibition policies. There would be costs incurred by government, by regulatory infrastructure, inspection, monitoring, compliance, trading standards, but largely covered by licensing and other fees, according to the organization. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and their tweet, is this a tweet here? I'm not sure if this is a tweet or a different form of.
Well, that's their tweet on X, correct?
Yeah. So they're saying high returns the economic benefits of UK cannabis legalization. Legally regulating cannabis for non-medical use in the UK could generate the 1.5 billion euro in annual nets. That's every year benefits for the Treasury. And then they offer the breakdown. Transform Drug Policy Foundation also determined that up to 15,500 full-time jobs could be created in cultivation, manufacturing, retail, and related services, depending on model implemented. So that's a lot of people that, offers an opportunity to a lot of people that worked in an illegal sector to come forward and do what they do well in the legal sector and make money and be profitable. And it's awesome.
And there's so many, we've reported in the past, so many children over there that could use access to cannabis oil for epilepsy, and, they get denied.
Yep.
And so hopefully that report says, and, even the lawmakers say that they're 83% in support of it. And I know they have a program, but they have to improve the program so that people aren't taking risks in order to save their children. So,
yep.
All righty. That's the first half of the show. Time for us to take a break. We're going to medicate. We'll be right back. You're live with Psychedelics and Cannabis educational news. I'll get it out. We'll be back in about 2.5 minutes or so.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, open Monday to Friday from 10 till 7 p.m. or by chance. Check out our flags, our t-shirts, plus our hats, and look of that supply of rolling papers, plus much more. We've got bongs and your favorite herbal vaporizers. Look at all the incense we have, as well as for those who collect knives, check out these knives in our collection. And while you're here, stop in to see Shay at the piercing room, where you can get poked by Shay. Daily deals, check them out. Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford, Ontario.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. Rerolled Saturdays. Check it out. Nothing but non-stop cannabis and psychedelic programming. Find it at 420pace.ca.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Hey, we're back. We're live. We got, 4 more stories to cover here, Cindy?
We do.
We sure do. And let's get started. Here we go.
Coming to us from International Cannabis Business Conference, CBD associated with improved memory in preclinical models.
Worldwide, Alzheimer's disease is the most common cause or type of dementia, with an estimated 60 to 70% of global dementia cases involving an Alzheimer's diagnosis. That works out to roughly 34 million to almost 40 million cases. The condition is characterized by progressive memory loss and cognitive decline. A team of researchers affiliated with several health and academic institutions in Spain recently conducted a study examining the use of CBD and its potential as a treatment for Alzheimer's disease. The study's findings were published in the academic journal Alzheimer's Research and Therapy.
The study employs in vitro and in vivo methodologies to validate CBD's potential as a treatment for Alzheimer's disease by addressing key hallmarks of the condition and promoting neuroprotective effects on spatial memory. This is what the researchers stated about their methodology. Our findings demonstrate CBD's ability to decrease p-tau and aggression, and to mitigate the oxynol transport between cortical and hippocampal neurons. Pardon me, the researchers wrote. Moreover, CBD treatment was shown to reduce neuroinflammation, as CBD was able to skew microgalia towards neuroprotective M2 phenotype while attenuating pro-inflammatory cytokine release in the 5x FAD AD mouse model.
Am I ever glad you got that one? Oh, I'm sure I'm going to have my moment before this story is over.
I'm sure.
Notably, daily CBD injections of 10 milligrams per kilogram for 28 days in 5x FAD mice resulted in significant improvements in both short and long-term spatial memory. The study also revealed CBD's capacity to partially revert neurite formation loss induced by AB tau and p-tau proteins, suggesting a potential role in promoting neuronal plasticity. The researchers added additional CBD treatment led to the reduction in reactive oxygen species formation and increased neuronal viability with the presence of AD-associated protein aggregates. The full structure of cannabidol was first identified in 1964 by Raphael Mechoulam and his colleagues in Israel. Since that time, cannabis prohibition policies have largely hindered CBD research, no doubt. However, the cannabinoid has become the focus of investigations at an increasing rate in recent years.
The multifaceted effects of CBD, ranging from molecular level modulation to behavioral improvements, underscore its potential as a comprehensive therapeutic approach for AD, which is Alzheimer's disease. The Spanish research concluded about their study. The findings not only support CBD's neuroprotective properties, but also highlight its ability to target multiple pathological processes simultaneously, offering a promising avenue for future Alzheimer's treatment strategies. And this is according to a recent CBD industry analysis by Grandview Research.
Yeah. Good stuff. Get those report informations out there so everybody can learn stuff. There's people, all of us, there's a lot of us for years that would say, oh, we already know this. Well, there's a lot of people out there who don't know it. And we got a message just before we went to break. Got the peace sign from Wayne Matheson. Just so you know, Wayne's wife, Shay, owns the Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, Wayne. I was there. I met you. I have a hat. I have a hat. Yes, I have. Everybody loves my hat, by the way. It's like one of the most favorite hats here around Nova Scotia. Everybody wants one, but I'm the only one that's got one. So
you're the only one that's got one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, where you get your bongs and dongs and all in one house.
That's
one
what
location. Yep, there you go. Is he still there? All right, okie dokie. We'll move on to the next story. And as I bring it up here, just give me a second. Okay, there we go. She's there.
Coming to us once again from StratCan. Canadian cannabis continues to dominate German medical market.
Canada has once again the largest exporter of medical cannabis products to Germany as of the first quarter of 2025. Of the 37,223 kilograms of dried cannabis flower imported into Germany in the first 3 months of 2025, about half, 16,000 kgs, were from Canada. The second largest importing country into Germany was Portugal, with 12,000 kilograms, and Denmark in a distant third with only 2,600 kgs out of 16 importing countries.
Cannabis flower imports into Germany have increased over the last 5 quarters from just over 8,000 kilograms in the first quarter of 24. The amount of cannabis imported from Canada in the first 3 months of 2025 was about half of the total amount imported from Canada in all of 2024. That figure doubled from the just under 17,000 kilograms imported from Canada back in 2023. The import of cannabis for medical or medical scientific purposes into Germany is expected to continue, provided that a corresponding permit is obtained under Section 4 of the Medical Cannabis Act.
Yeah, there you go. You can see the graph there, eh? The imports. Cannabis for medical purposes that was cultivated in Germany under state control can also be exported, although Canada has continued to only allow cannabis imports for scientific purposes rather than for medical use. An increasing number of Canadian cannabis companies have been turning to the international export market, drawn by higher prices and higher demand, especially in countries like Australia, Germany, Israel, and the UK. Some cannabis producers in Israel, Colombia, and Australia have expressed concerns about their ability to compete with the amount of imports coming from countries like Canada.
From October 2018 to September 2024, most recently available date, there were 295,933,850 grams of cannabis, to be exact, and 52,662.1 liters of cannabis oil exported from Canada to markets like Australia, Israel, Germany, and the UK. Based in the US and Canada, Tilray received the first cannabis cultivation license issued under Germany's new Cannabis Act in July. This license allows Afira RX to cultivate and manufacture cannabis for medical purposes in Germany.
The American Cannabis Company, which operates in Canada, the United States, Europe, Australia, and Latin America, was the first to receive a cannabis production license in the country. Canadian cannabis company Aurora and German company Demacan are also now licensed for production in the country as well. And in February 2024, Germany passed the German Medical Cannabis Act, expanding the country's medical cannabis laws.
Wow.
Now, as far as Israel, they've got so upset about it over in Israel that they're talking like 160% or 170% tariffs or something. Because they say it's been dumped. So, yeah, little smiley face, happy face laugh there from Wayne. That'd be over your hat, over their hats. Yeah. All righty. So we're gonna move from that. We're gonna move on to the next story, and it's got to be another good one, of course. There we go.
Coming to us from International Cannabis Business Conference, analysis finds few changes in cognitive performance post-cannabis use.
There you go. One of the main talking points used by cannabis opponents is that cannabis is bad for the brain, and its use will result in significant declines in cognitive performance. The talking point is often applied to public policies as they pertain to driving under the influence. A team of researchers affiliated with the University of Sunshine Coast and the University of Queensland, both in Australia, recently performed an analysis examining cognitive performance after patients have used medical cannabis products. The results of the analysis were posted in the academic journal Drug and Alcohol Review.
This program of research investigated the acute effects of orally ingested, which is the first study, and vaporized for second study, cannabis containing Delta-9 THC on cognitive functions relevant for driving in 2 samples of medical cannabis patients. And the researchers wrote, participants completed counterbalanced baseline, no cannabis, and cannabis consumption post-cannabis appointments scheduled approximately 1 week apart. During each session, participants were administered a cognitive battery assessing information processing speed, sustained and divided attention, inhibitory control, and mental flexibility. In the post-cannabis condition, the battery was completed 90 minutes after consuming 1 dose of cannabis oil or 15 minutes after vaporizing 1 dose of cannabis flower. I wonder what their doses were. I wonder if it tells us here. And this is all stated by the researchers about their methodology.
Yeah, they don't say it because they say that study 1 has 41 oral users and study 2 has 37 flower users. But yeah, many jurisdictions where medical cannabis is legal, including Australia, are struggling with with how to strike the right balance between keeping people from operating motor vehicles when they are too impaired and not persecuting medical cannabis patients who are not impaired and simply have metabolized THC in their systems. In both samples, acute cannabis oil and flower administration did not induce a change in information processing speed, divided and sustained attention, or inhibitory control performance. And they say it was after excluding participants with a positive drug indication at the start of each session, highlighting the moderating role of intolerance the researchers found.
It is worth noting that the population side of this analysis was not large, and further research is needed as always. However, the results of this analysis in Australia are in line with findings from other studies that have examined medical cannabis use and cognitive performance and just general knowledge out there in the cannabis industry. A 2018 meta-analysis conducted in the United Kingdom also found that the acute effects of a single cannabinoid administration are less prominent in regular cannabis users compared to non-regular users, and that the repeated cannabinoid administration more consistently suggests less prominent effects upon repeated exposure.
Yeah. In layman's term, patients who use cannabis more regularly are less likely to be impaired after cannabis consumption compared to infrequent consumers. Yep. That is an important distinction because per cannabis DUI laws are such that they penalize frequent consumers for having built up metabolized THC in the system, even though those consumers are less likely to be impaired at the time of testing. Conversely, the metabolized THC thresholds of per se cannabis laws often result in infrequent cannabis consumers testing below the THC threshold, even though they are more likely to be impaired after cannabis use. As such, cannabis DUI laws need to be based on sound science and not arbitrary metabolized THC thresholds that ultimately do not detect true intoxication levels. Mm-hmm. I think a perfect example is something we talked about earlier with those gummies. You know, there's people out there, first-time users, they're going to get hammered on a 10 milligram gummy. I've seen it, but yet, you know, when they come to their test, that was all that maybe they consumed in months, and they would not show probably that effect. You know, that reading in your blood, the 5 nanograms after one gummy. Yeah, right? But yet that person would be heavily impaired.
Yeah, I mean, I see that in people that are learning about cannabis every day, or even, like I say, like my friend. I mean, it doesn't matter how many years go by. I mean, he knows that 1 milligram of THC is all he can consume, you know? Yeah. You know, and his smoking tolerance is just as low and doesn't matter. I mean, he could use it. We tried the whole Rick Simpson build the tolerance up. No way.
No, that would be
the only person I know like that. So it is, you know, very much a person-to-person thing, and we need a way of being able to say who's affected and who's not. I mean, and as you know, I mean, like, I've been using cannabis for a long, 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 long time. And if I have a day that I'm in a lot of pain or my back's really bad or anxiety, my endocannabinoid system is going to take everything I put in me, and I'm not going to feel it psychoactively at all. But if I'm having a day that my pain is low and my anxiety is low, I smoke that same joint and I'm going to be high.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had times where, I don't feel anything. Other times where you do.
Yep.
Yep. It happens. It happens. All righty. We got one more story to go, don't we?
I do.
All right. Let's go at her. Let's get her done. Here we go.
Coming to us from Green State, alarming cannabis report sounds safety sirens.
Cannabis industry is one of the expected growth in some states and imminent contraction in others. People who sign on to work in the space experience the excitement of a new industry while riding a roller coaster of unknowns. The federally legality of the plant leaves space for nerves. A recent release, University of California, Los Angeles Labor Center report indicates more to be concerned about. It says here that in the release, it says, I've had coworkers who've had guns pulled on them or been robbed. Lele Lee, a cannabis delivery driver in San Francisco Bay Area, said in this release, because of how the system is set up under legalization, we often carry thousands of dollars in cannabis products in cash, and we're constantly rushing to and from depots to meet order demands.
Robberies are sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, robberies are only a small piece of the alarming workplace conditions, revealed high stakes. The state of the Californian cannabis workforce. The report compiled data from more than 1,111 surveys, over 50 interviews, and 7 interactive data sessions. A vast majority called the better health and safety protections, 85%. Implications are already being felt. Nearly half of cultivation workers have back and neck pain. A third reported blisters, skin infections, eye pain, and strain.
The issues are not only physical. 60% of the delivery workers felt pressure to conduct more deliveries than they believed safe in an allotted time. Women, people of color, and LGBTQ identifying people were prosecuted. 27% of the women reported sexual harassment, mostly from managers, bosses, and customers. Over 1/3 of workers experienced racial slurs or intimidation, and 28% were subject to homophobic or transphobic comments from upper management, co-workers, and customers. These workers are demanding a voice in shaping the future of the cannabis industry, and they deserve it. Ms. Kindness Beckler-Ramos, who's a report co-author and founder of the Club Kindness, conducted in the release. So there you go. People are being, yeah. Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. Well, that was in a local town. That was apparently there were some problems with something along that line.
Yeah,
they're no longer there. They shut down.
Yeah, it's harassment like that is something that has been around for years. And it would be lovely to see it go away. But, as we know, as patients who work in this industry, hurt people. And that's what happens. And, until we can heal the world, we have to be very vigilant and help to stop it.
Yeah. It could be. It's going to be a while. It ain't going away tomorrow, unfortunately. So, all right. Anything else before we say goodbye?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Enjoy your day. Other than that, everybody else, that's the report for today. Thanks to our buds at Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. Thanks, Wayne, for tuning in. Limestone City, Hydroponics.ca, and At-Eze.ca. In closing, we'd like to say thank you for watching. And as I always say, don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcasts is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.